many of them talk about geometry being really crucial to our understanding. Many of them talk about the dynamic flow of creation. And so, when you compile all this together, it gives you a completely different picture of history. And that picture looks quite different in terms of like how advanced ancient civilization may have been. And there is evidence that there was some kind of very advanced knowledge and technology on our planet much earlier than our written history. And some of that evidence is found in huge buildings, pyramids that are found in Egypt and in South America and in Mexico, in China, and so on. And in some cases, these buildings are built with hundreds of thousands of very heavy stones. They're arranged in almost a perfect manner in a way that couldn't be reproduced today with all of our technology and all this. So, a great mystery appears. And just as with the crop circle, imagine that you found a planet that's very low in its evolution and you are a very advanced civilization. If you landed on that planet and, the people were basically right out of caves, they would call you a god. They wouldn't necessarily understand technology, and you couldn't just all of a sudden try to explain to them quantum physics and relativistic physics and how your technology worked, but you could explain to them fundamental principles of creation, make them nice, beautiful drawings of how that works, geometric understanding and all this, and this would become very important traditions in their culture. It would be passed on from generation to generation, talking about those sun gods that came to the earth and taught them geometry and taught them writing and taught them, engineering and all this stuff. And hopefully, eventually, that information would get in the hands of people that would have enough background in science to understand the scientific information that's embedded in it. And I think something like that happened on our planet. And that the ancient tradition actually have embedded in them very important sets of information about technology and about the way the universe works and what we need to do in order to transcend our way of being into a way of being that is much more productive and creative and harmonious, and that we're going to need that information because there's timelines that we have to respect on our planet, that, planetary systems are unstable. They don't necessarily, stay the same for millions of years. Eventually, continents sink, another one rises, and meteorites hit, and all this. And if you're not able to get off the surface of your planet, if you're not able to become a true member of a larger community that is able to move through space in an easy way, then you're doomed.
Ooh, do you think we're standing in front of a challenge like that in our time right now?
I believe so, and these ancient civilizations didn't just give us the information, they give us as well calendars to tell us when these changes would happen, and I think we're very close to them, and I think that's why we're seeing so much chaos and changes in our society today, and because we are approaching, these very fundamental changes, which are always preceded by a lot of chaos. It's like the growing pains or the birthing pains.
Yeah, exactly. Like Terence McKenna talked about the violence, as it were, of a birth. If you just come in a room and see a woman giving birth, it looks like a violent scene, but something beautiful is happening there. If you can, step back and look at it for what it is, So it's that's pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned, of course, calendars, etc. Of course, that obviously poses the question of the Mayans, what they might have known or not known, or potentially were given information about, and they of course talked about the monumental year of 2012, which is on the horizon here. And I mean, if we look at all the science and look at all of the technological developments that we can see right now, I think that 2012 might actually be some kind of convergent point, if you will, where a lot of this information is going to come to light, and at the same time we are advancing incredibly fast within our technology. So I see that 2012, for me at least, represent great change, albeit it might not be what we have thought it might be. Do you personally have any theories or ideas about what 2012 might mean?
Yes. Well, actually, I think the Mayan calendars, well, first of all, they're some of the most accurate calendars on Earth still to this day. And, I think they map a larger cycle of our sun that has to do with the position of our sun relative to the galactic center, which they call the Great Central Sun, and that they knew that our sun goes through various changes and cycles. And the 2012 date is interestingly matched with the solar cycles. For instance, we know that the sun flips its magnetic poles every 11 years. It's called the solar cycle.
Yeah.
And when it does, it becomes a little hotter, and it produces a lot of sunspots. Well, our sun seemed to, now that's an 11-year cycle. Well, I think that cycle is embedded in a larger cycle that has to do with the position of our sun relative to the galactic center. And when it goes through that larger cycle, it might go through some fluctuations that are larger than the smaller cycle, and it may create havoc in the planets near it. And there's been a steady heating up of our sun for the last 15 years, and this last solar cycle has been very active.
Yeah.
And it, may lead, and I believe that much of the global warming that we're experiencing is as a result of the sun heating up,
yeah.
And it's compounded by all of our pollution. And so, if you only look at that data, like how fast our planet is heating up, it looks like, the predictions at first was, there may be a rise of water of 21 feet in 100 years, which is already a short period. But now the predictions that are coming out of NASA is more like 10 to 5 years. And so, it is very close to the 2012 mark. And, the sun, 11-year cycle, the flip of the poles, the last one was 2001, and so you add 11 years, that makes the next flip 2012, and the Mayans may have been telling us that specific flip is going to be more active than the others and create changes on our planet.
Oh, indeed. I definitely think so. NASA released a report a while back that says that the solar flare or the coronal mass ejections that the sun have on a continual basis actually increase and decrease, as you say, in these 11-year cycles, and this is going to peak at around 2012, and they also, for various reasons, believe that this particular cycle is going to be extremely active if we compare to past ones. And what that might mean for the planet, of course, is that we might have everything from blackouts to satellites, temporarily at least, being knocked out and so forth. So it's definitely interesting, in regards to what is upcoming in the next few years here. If we also think at your model or what you are working on right now, how is the work being done, so to speak? Are you trying to map out your theory, or are you guys working on how you can implement the theory in practical use? At what stage, so to speak, in this process are you at this point?
Well, we're publishing a lot of physics papers, trying to, flush out the theory as much as we can, and so that we have a better and better understanding. And I definitely hope that it will lead to, to application and technology that can really help us through this, I think, difficult moment in history, and liberate humankind from being stuck on the surface of their planet, kind of at the limbs of the solar system. And, I really believe that any civilization that makes it much past our level of consciousness and our level of civilization is a civilization that learns to control gravity and control the vacuum and extract energy from it and transcend their limitations and move on to a whole completely different way of living.
And this would mean, I guess, also different types of, as we mentioned before, energy, how we, of course, consume energy, but also how we produce the energy, meaning that we could potentially move away from the combustion engine. We could move away from a lot of the other kind of, polluting and energies that are, we basically get from dams and things like this that are actually very harmful to nature. Is that correct?
Exactly. It is a potential to, instead of tapping into the energy that has, basically been transmuted by nature, like vegetation thousands of years ago that got caught in between layers of our planet surface, and that has eventually become oil, and that then we take the oil and we refine it and we put it in our cars, and now we burn it to produce energy. There is a possibility that we transcend all this and just get into the source of what produced the material world in the first place. And if we tap into that source, it's a very extremely large source of power, and it would probably liberate humankind from having to count on the material world to provide energy.
Very interesting. Now, for people that are interested in either learning more about the subject, obviously your DVD is Crossing the Event Horizon. The DVD is a very obvious choice, but you also have classes then and the telephone phone conference, etc. Beyond that, do you have any kind of donations or anything like that people can help you out with in regards to your research?
Yes, absolutely. We are in need of help, of financial support, and we are a nonprofit foundation. And basically, we are a research institution, and we are counting on the generosity of the public and individuals out there that have that can make a difference to come forward and help support research that is truly bringing a new paradigm in physics and technology and so on. And so, yes, people can get involved. They can get on our email list. Every donation, like from a few dollars to large amounts, makes a difference. And they can get on our email list and know where I'm giving talks and participate in our emissary program and so on. So, we need the support of the public. We need the help of the public. This is a time where people must step forward together, support each other, and bring this new level of understanding to the world.
Indeed. How about, grants? I'm thinking of if you guys have ever approached bigger companies for funding. One would think that at the end of if you can lay forth this in such a way, there would be tremendous interest from larger companies that are involved